Hello there, this is my bike. It's a BMW R1200 GS Adventure, year of manufacture 2008, and on this video I'm going to explain a few of the modifications we made to the bike to ride it Trans-Siberia and over to Japan from Milton Keynes to Tokyo. After a quick trip over to the Northwest 200 to watch the road racing there, we decided that we needed to take the bike for a longer trip to shake it down, because we always intended to take it long distance, and we wanted to check to see how comfy it was and how the gear fitted to it. At that time the bike was pretty much standard. I'd bought a few little trinkets from Touratech, as you do, but by and large it was a standard bike. While we were in Switzerland, we decided to take a ride over to Italy to go and see the Motor Guzzi factory. But a little tip for you: don't go to the Motor Guzzi factory in August because it's closed. By the time I was getting ready for America, things had got a bit out of hand, and I'd started buying stuff that I didn't really need. It just looked nice on the bike. I really didn't need all that gear. I rode right around America, 20,000 miles, and Diane came up the west coast with me on the Pacific Highway 1. We saw the odd buffalo. Hang on a minute, how did that get in there? In 2012 we set off for Russia. The suspension got quite a good workout. When we arrived at St. Petersburg, I set the suspension to full off-road and left it there for the rest of the trip. The main change to the bike was that I took these metal mule panniers off my old TT600RE and I plonked them on the Beamer. The reason for doing this is that the standard BMW panniers tend to leak if you pack too much gear into them. The sides stretch a bit, and the seals at the top of the pannier go out of line, and you can end up with a pannier that's full of water. It happened to me a couple of times in America. The good thing about the metal mule panniers is the quality of the build and how heavy duty they are. And they keep the water out really well. There are, however, two downsides to them. One is that the pannier frame catches a crud catcher and slowly demolishes it. And the other one is that sadly the Boss silencer had to go because it didn't fit with the pannier frames when they were fitted. So I had to buy a new exhaust from Metal Mule in order to fit these panniers. thinking about riding across Siberia and also Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan needed a whole different thought process regarding major components on the bike. These are Wilbur's suspension. They're not quite as expensive as Öhlins, but they're still really good, and I've got heavy duty springs for all the weight we carry. We also fitted a new rear bevel bearing because we've had a history of those going, and also a new clutch. This is a Saddleman gel seat imported from America. I've got some other Saddleman gear for my Harley and it's good gear, it's well made. Now this is a really interesting bit of kit. It's called a side kicker and it's a ratcheted side stand. I really haven't fully worked out how it works, but basically there's around 4 positions of ratchet which allow you to extend it with your foot as you tip the bike over once you've got it down, and then you just nick it with your foot to kick it back up to its smaller setting. For luggage options we use auto-lead bags on the back of the bike on the top of the panniers, and in addition to these we've got 2 crash bar bags and some saddle bags that fit on the side of the tank, as you can see them here, and also a Touratech tank bag which has been used ever since the first trip, but these 2 of the bags were new. And the idea was to try and put some of the weight forward that had been on the back of the bike. The bike's wired up for heated jackets and a lot of other gear as well, as you can see from the mess of wires. One of those wires goes to this bit of kit with which I have a love-hate relationship. Mostly hate. When you're travelling 40 or 50,000 miles around the globe, you can expect the odd puncture, although it's true to say I haven't had one yet, but I always go really well equipped to fix them. This bit of kit goes in the pannier, and it's a little gun that pulls through a mushroom, and the mushroom seals the tyre. I've practiced with it and it's very easy to use. If the plug-in doesn't work, then you're probably going to have to break the bead and either partially or wholly get the tyre off. This is a great little bead breaker that also itself breaks down into small components. And the final item that we take is heavy duty, very thick inner tubes which allow us to pump the tyre up even if it is mortally damaged. The bike had done 54,000 miles by the time we were setting off, so we needed a new pair of front discs and I fitted these myself. I think the best thing to do to build a toolkit is to think of everything you can use and then start maintaining your bike using the kit that you build up. So first of all, thinking about safety, there's a need for a really good first aid kit. We added a lot of stuff into that in addition to what was bought with it, and also a sterile kit in case you get caught out in the open and you need to get to hospital and take your own sterile equipment. A good water filter is essential if you're travelling to areas where water supply might be a bit dodgy. Swedish Trangia stove for cooking, really good, and we use little bottles on the back of the racks to carry the fuel. You can also see a lockable fuel tank there on the right hand side of the panniers. That gives us an extra 4 and a bit litres of fuel and adds to our range. The other tank is 32 litres, the main tank. Gives us range of over 400 miles. Along with lots of adapters for the hotel rooms, we take 2 main power sources. This one's a solar panel and it fits on top of the top box, on top of the bag on the top box. it's a good idea to try and make sure that each item can do more than one job. This little power pack here is really useful because it can power up your iPhone, your computer and other electrical devices. But it can also amazingly start the bike at least 2 or 3 times if you have a problem with your battery. And if that's not enough, it also has a torch and it has an emergency red beacon, flashing beacon, that lasts for quite a few hours. Continuing on the theme of multiple uses, this lock does 2 things. It acts as a lock on the front wheel, on the disc, but it also has an alarm, quite a loud one, and it's been proven to work. We had kids on the bike in Turkey and the alarm went off and they disappeared pretty quick. This is a tyre pump as used by the SAS, so they say, and it'll pump a tyre up in about 2 minutes I think from flat, so really useful if you have the puncture that I was talking about earlier. This is the ubiquitous Wenger Swiss Army knife. I also carry a larger camping knife and also a Victorinox multi-tool. All of these need to be kept out of the way. You won't be in very good books with the police, particularly if they find your camping knife in an unsafe place. So I keep mine right at the bottom of the panniers. The GS911 is a South African diagnostics tool. It plugs into the bike and is used in conjunction with a Windows PC that we take with us, and allows us to track down any issues with the bike. So that's us ready for the off. I hope you've enjoyed this little trip through the gear that we're taking with us. And look forward to posting some more film of the actual trip, and you can see whether we actually got to our destination. Thanks and bye.